If you want to learn how to make Gbegiri soup without a blender, this video is for you. Today, I'm showing you the traditional Gbegiri recipe to get that perfect smooth texture for your Amala. I've also included the blender version if you're in a hurry. This is the perfect partner for Ewedu soup, and it is exactly what you need to complete your Amala and Buka stew meal. Hi my people, my name is Mo. Welcome back. Let's get started. The foundation of a great Gbegiri starts with the type of beans you choose. For this recipe, I'm using onion beans, also known as Ewa Oloyin. If you want that naturally sweet and rich taste that Gbegiri is known for, this is definitely the best choice. So I measure out 1.5 cup of beans, which is a good quantity for a good sized family portion. Once you have measured yours out, you must take your time to carefully pick through them. You want to be very thorough here. Remove any stones, dirt, or deformed beans. There is nothing worse than finding a stone in your smooth soup later on. So don't rush this part, just make sure only the best beans make it into the pot. For Gbegiri, we have to peel the beans first since we are aiming for a soup that is perfectly smooth. Now, there are two main ways you can do this. The first is the traditional method. You soak the beans in water for about 5 minutes, not more than that, or they will get too soft. Once you drain the water, you pour them in the mortar and pound carefully until the skin starts to fall off. If you don't have a mortar, don't worry, you can simply use your hands to rub the beans together until they peel. After that, you just add plenty of water and rinse away the chaff until the beans is clean. But today, I'm showing you a second method, which is the blender method. Yes, you can actually peel your beans with a blender. Now, don't let the mention of a blender scare you away. Stick with me until the end of this video because I'm going to show you how I achieve that smooth traditional Gbegiri texture without using a blender for the actual cooking, though I will show you the blender option as well. To peel with the blender, it is very easy and quick. I just pour my beans in, add some water and use the pause button. I only pause it about 4 times. That is all it takes to loosen the skin without breaking the beans. Then I pour everything into a large bowl and start rinsing. You will see the chaff floating to the top. Just keep pouring that out and adding fresh water. You want to keep rinsing until that water runs absolutely clear and every single black eye or bit of skin is gone. This is actually a very important step for Gbegiri because any chaff left behind will affect the final color and the smoothness of your soup. We want that bright, clean yellow look that you see in the best local buka spots. Taking your time here ensures that when we get to the mashing stage, the beans will be soft and easy to work with. It is a bit of work, but trust me, for a perfect Amala experience, this extra care makes all the difference. I poured the peeled beans into the pot along with some chopped onions. To help the beans soften up quickly, I added a little bit of baking soda. You can also use potash, also known as corn, but I personally recommend baking soda for this. I added enough water to cover it and give it a cook stir and let it start cooking. You have to be very careful once it starts to boil. The water tends to foam up and can easily boil over, so it is best to keep the lid halfway open and reduce the heat once it starts bubbling. Also, be generous with your onions. It adds so much flavor to the base. After it has cooked for a while, I added my fresh pepper. If you're not using a blender, you should grind your pepper before adding it. But because I'll be using the blender later, I put it whole, like I put the pepper whole to soften. You can also use powder pepper. So then I covered this and let it cook until the beans is completely soft and tender. A few minutes later, I check to see if the beans is ready. You can see they are cooked but not quite tenderly soft yet. For Gbegiri, we need the beans to be almost matched in the water, so I added more water and gave it more time to cook. While we wait for that to soften, I have to share this news with you. My people, we are officially monetized on YouTube. Yay! This dream only came true because of your support on all my recipes. Thank you for showing up for me every single day. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button. You are joining our family at such a special time. So looking back at the pot, the beans is perfectly matched. You can even see the residual on the lid and around the top of the pot. That is the sign that it is ready. Since I'm showing you two ways to achieve that smooth finish, I scoop out some and set it aside so we can test both the traditional and the modern methods. Make sure you like this video if you're enjoying these tips so far. Now for the traditional way, I'm using my ijabe, which is a short cooking broom, to whisk and mash the beans. To do this effectively, you need to be on a comfortable surface. So I've taken the pot off the stove and placed it on the countertop where I can really apply more pressure. This whisking is so much easier if you let your beans get really soft and ensure that it was peeled properly. I know not everyone has an ijabe in their kitchen, but that shouldn't stop you from making this. If you don't have the cooking broom, the most important thing is to ensure your beans is well cooked until it is extremely tender, practically falling apart. Once the beans is that soft, you can simply pour it into a fine sieve like I'm doing here. Then take your cooking spoon and use the back of it to press and mash the beans against the mesh. This pressure will break down those soft beans and force them through the sieve, giving you that same smooth consistency without the manual whisking. Once you are done whisking the beans with a broom, that is the jabe, you are going to use a fine sieve or a cheesecloth for a second layer of smoothness. Think of it as a two-factor authentication for your soup. You can use your cooking spoon to press the beans against the sieve. As you can see, I have quite a bit of residual here, which means I should have let my beans cook just a little bit longer. Please learn from my mistake and ensure yours is extra tender. Also, don't worry if the soup looks a bit watery right now. Gbegiri soup naturally thickens up as it cools down, so the consistency will be perfect soon. Now for the blender method, which is faster. I poured that second batch of beans I set aside earlier into the blender. To keep things efficient and ensure I have just one pot of soup at the end, I also added the chaff from the manual whisking and smooth gbegiri I already sieved. I blended everything together until it is perfectly smooth. I only show the manual way to prove that you can achieve a great result without using a blender. But since I want one uniform pot of soup, I brought it all together. Now, if you are strictly using the broom method, don't worry, just keep your sieved base ready, and we are going to catch up in the next step. I poured the blended beans back into the pot. If you use the broom method, this is exactly where you join back in. To season, I added my seasoning cube, a bit of salt and some palm oil, then give it a good stir. One quick tip, be very careful with your seasoning. Beans are naturally sweet on their own, so you don't want to overpower that flavor. Some people prefer using just salt and no seasoning cubes at all. You can definitely skip it if you like, or just be very moderate with it. We will let this cook and simmer for about 5 minutes to allow the oil marry the beans. And just like that, our Gbegiri soup is ready. To get the full Amala experience, you really need to pair this with Ewedu soup and buka stew. If you haven't seen my Ewedu soup recipe yet, make sure to check that video out on my channel. If you don't want the full Amala, this Gbegiri also goes well with a simple Nigerian chicken stew and swallows like tuwo, amala, or semovita. I have a great chicken stew recipe already up on the channel that you can follow. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this journey to monetization. It really means the world to me. Please give this video a like and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. I will see you in the next one, my people.